So one of the most common comment in these videos is that how do I maintain my daily practice, right? So I start the meditation practice, but after a while I give it up. And when I'm practicing the meditation, I'm also not really practicing it very sincerely. So how do I maintain a regular, sincere meditation practice? Yeah. And the fundamental reason why we are not able to maintain such practice is that we don't deeply realize why exactly we are practicing meditation, what problem is it is solving, and how important that problem is. Yeah. So, in the context of Vipassana, we are fundamentally practicing meditation because of the Four Noble Truth. That is the foundation of Vipassana meditation. Yeah. And the Four Noble Truth is life is suffering, cause of suffering is craving. It is possible to completely eradicate that craving, and the way of eradicating those cravings are eightfold path or meditation practice. Yeah. So this is why we are practicing meditation. That so in this video, let's take a look at like what is this craving and how come it is cause of all of our suffering, and how does meditation help us to eradicate that, right? So let's say if I take an experience, I am feeling hunger. There's a certain sensation in my stomach and I'm feeling hunger. It generates a sense of craving, right? I feel a urge, right? I feel a sense of inspiration. And then I satisfy my hunger and then I go back to my normal state, right? The challenge here is that we get attached to that experience of craving itself, right? So if you notice again, when I'm experiencing hunger, right, I'm feeling some tightness in my stomach or something, there is an aversion towards it, right? And that creates a craving. Now, craving is an entirely different experience. I feel something in my chest and this feel in a certain way, and then its entire purpose was to satisfy my hunger. So inspire me to satisfy my hunger, to take some action towards satisfying my hunger, right? But that action has happened, right? Now the problem that happens here is that because I get attached to this experience of craving, now once my hunger is satisfied, I'm no longer going to be in a peaceful state. What will happen is mind will generate another craving. Let's say it's a craving for eating something else, something salty, right? I am no longer feeling hunger, right? This craving that is being generated because of the sake of craving. You see what I mean? Like, this is what is the problem. Otherwise, we just have these maybe dozens of biological need, right? Maybe we need some food, we need some place or shelter, some safety, maybe some belonging, and maybe there's maybe just dozens of these experiences altogether, right? And it's not that hard to satisfy them. In fact, if you're watching these videos, likely you have already enough resources to satisfy those basic needs. But when you go to a meditation session, you would notice you can't really focus on the breath for even 10 seconds in an entire meditation session, right? Mind is so restless. There's so many thoughts, so many stuff going on inside ourselves, right? The reason why these things are going on the deepest level is because we got attached to the experience of that craving, right? So mind is at this point generating the craving for the sake of craving, right? There's no value in that, right? It's not really satisfying any need actually, right? What it is doing is just because we get attached to this experience of craving, it's just constantly generating this craving after craving after craving. And we no longer can experience the peace or the default state that we were experiencing. And what meditation is pointing out here is if you can just remove this craving, if you could just imagine if there is no such thing, right? Imagine if the life was as simple as that you feel a hunger, you satisfy it. If you feel another need, you satisfy that need and all that, right? When you satisfied it, you feel peaceful, right? There's nothing else to do. And then you go after the another, whatever another biological need comes, you satisfy it, right? If that was the case, right, going through the life is a very pleasant experience. Even if the experience that we are going through is not pleasant itself, right? Even if we are going through something difficult, some difficult experience, but basically life is pretty simple, right? This is just series of experiences that we are experiencing, and we are engaging in that experience, and then experience goes away. The whole process is very satisfying and very contentful if the craving part doesn't happen in all that, right? Because an experience happened, we learn from experience, experience goes away, we go to next experience, right? But the challenge happen is because this craving, attachment to this craving happens, we no longer experiencing anything anyway, right? And we no longer experiencing a basic peaceful state. What we are experiencing is constant restlessness, right? And this is suffering. This is the suffering that Buddha was talking about. This is the suffering that the Vipassana is talking about. This is the suffering. And the thing is, it is possible to eradicate that suffering. It's possible to eradicate this senseless craving, right? So how does meditation help us to eradicate that suffering, right? So without meditation, right, we are not even going to be able to observe, or we are not able to even see, like, this is what is going on, right? This is how a craving arises. This is how the craving, the whole flow of the craving and the suffering that comes with it, right? So what meditation gives us, first of all, visibility, right? Mindfulness. Meditation, a regular consistent meditation practice and meditation retreat will give you enough mindfulness when you can see all this, right? Where you see, like, how does craving arises, how does it peaks, how does it pass away, and everything, right? So meditation gives us that, right? Once we have that capability that we can actually observe all these things inside ourselves, the way to eradicate this craving is being able to observe it without reacting to it, right? Being able to observe the whole flow of craving, not once, obviously, but if we can do it in a long term, consistently, that we are learning to stay present with the craving when it arises, when it passes away, without really trying to, react to it or suppress it. I mean, obviously, we can't just do it like that immediately, but with the practice, we can learn it, right? And this is what Buddha is saying. It's completely possible to completely eradicate this craving, right? So, meditation, first of all, gives us this mindfulness where we can observe it. With that mindfulness, we are capable to actually stay present while this craving coming and going, and that presence makes you free from that craving, right? Eventually, that is what is eradicating the entire craving. And once you can eradicate that craving, or at least once you start to see, like, what is the mind can be without all this, it's like a peaceful lake, right? Mind can be really pleasant place to be in if it is not all turbulent all the time, right? So this is where the meditation helps, right? And this is why we actually practice regularly and sincerely, because if we are practicing regularly and sincerely, you will be able to cultivate that level of mindfulness. And if we are actually sincere about, and when we see all this thing, right, then the urge, or then the desire to get out of this arises, right? And when the desire to get out of this arises, we start applying that mindfulness to stay present with all these movement of craving, to be free of it, right? But in order for us to do any of this thing, we need to have, like, regular consistent meditation practice with sincerity,